The Sound of Silence by Pamela Floyd. Des Moines, 2047. Narrated by Chloe Schwank. I'm sitting on the front step looking across the road. On the footpath is an artist, easel on his lap, painting our Paddington Terrace house. He keeps looking up at me, or is he looking at the house? I stay there for a long time playing, then run into the house to tell my parents about the artist. I'm disheartened. They are having an argument, slamming their feet on the timber flooring to gain each other's attention and talking deaf speak. I am 4 years old. I am a hearing child of deaf adults. CODA, CODA. The language in their time described my parents as deaf and dumb. One of my life lessons is that I learned my parents were not dumb. Being born deaf was their only difference. I think of my parents as I listen to the words of the song The Sound of Silence, written by Paul Simon. An excerpt from the song resonates with me. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. My family environment was a world of 2 languages. Sign language was fingerspelling and unique signs. We called it deaf speak. As a baby, my parents placed the cradle next to their bed so that they could feel movement and vibration when I woke and stirred, looking to be fed. As a toddler, I learned quickly. A thumb and forefinger on each side of the nose meant, I need the toilet, whilst pulling Mum's skirt to gain her attention. My parents' moment of sheer joy was to know that I could hear. Mum held me on her lap, and Dad stood behind her. He would clap loudly at each side of Mum's head, and when I turned my head at the sound of the clap, they both would, with great delight, sign to each other, "She can hear." I wonder how I learned to speak. My language was pointing at myself and at things. My memory takes me back to the Paddington Terrace house where I was introduced to the world of language by my neighbour and her children. If Mum could not find me, she knew where I was. Next door. I became Mum and Dad's voice and ears. To all who knocked on our door, I interpreted for them. I explained the news and events on television. There were no subtitles back then. My school friends asked me if our household was quiet. No, I would exclaim. My household could get very noisy. Apart from the foot slamming, both my parents could yell using their own deaf voices. Usual household noises like the slamming of a door or the whistle of the kettle, they could not hear. I can only imagine now how difficult it must have been for deaf people to raise children. How did they know when I was hurt and crying and not in sight? They listened with their eyes. My parents' ability to interact in the general community, as well as amongst the deaf, showed their strength, resilience, and their patience, all of which I have inherited from them. For me, later in life, communication with my parents was by snail mail. Write a letter, post it, and wait for the response by return mail. Until I discovered the fax machine would carry messages in the form of a written letter. Put the letter through the machine and bingo! 5 minutes later, a response. Our mode of communication then became simple. Mobile phones and the art of texting would have been so much simpler. I can only imagine how my life and my parents' lives would have been if we had today's technology. Zoom, FaceTime, Facebook, Instagram would have been game changers. As a coder, I have been gifted. My heightened sense of perception has enhanced my creativity, enabling me to become an artist. I have finally developed senses such as empathy, mindfulness, sensitivity, and consideration of others, all of which my parents had instinctively and naturally. In telling my story, I celebrate my parents' differences. I am grateful to them for the many important life lessons they taught me through their love and patience, especially resilience and the importance of helping others. Now, as I think back to my 4-year-old self, sitting on the step looking across at the artist on the footpath, I wonder if I am the subject of his painting. Is that painting on someone's wall? The end.